I don't care who you voted for. It doesn't matter to me. I think about this from marketing persuasion. Okay. And so because of that, audiences who are not sure got to spend 3 hours with a presidential candidate. And as a result, it just nudged some of them in the direction to ultimately vote. Okay. Now, back to our little story. A-listers have almost no applause. Shorts have slight applause. Longs have legit applause. Then the live streamers. When the live streamers came out, it was like the entire auditorium or stadium or arena erupted. And when I heard that, it was such a visual example of, I mean, we have this saying, which is like butts and seats. If you just make a bunch of like meme content, right, you demonstrate almost none of these things. Some of you guys are chasing views when what I think you want to have prospects who are more likely to comply with a future request. And so we need to change our behavior to maximize the likelihood that occurs. And so in looking at this thing, this is why I'm telling you, like showing my cards, I'm gonna be doing more live streams. And I think it's also, and this is me like outside of SPCL, but I think like meta themes overall, I think that the internet will always move towards truth. And so I think the A-listers, everything's super curated, everything's super polished, it's photoshopped, it's scripted. And as you move closer this way, it's rawer. Like you have a 3-hour podcast, like they're not scripted, right? Or most of them aren't, right? Streaming, it's like, yeah, we're live, right? I can't do anything, like we're live. This idea of how can we approximate the rawest reality of us hanging out, right? And actually going through this stuff, I think that is what will unlock the most influence, as long as you are still including these SPCL elements into it. And I think that's the marriage. Do SPCL and do it as many times as I possibly can. That's the idea. And so live streaming provides that opportunity. Let's also think about this from context of volume. Whether you like it or not, Rogan, tremendous influence, right? To the same degree, PBD, tremendous influence. Dave Ramsey, tremendous influence. What is it that these guys have in common? They're putting out hours of content every single day. So I said earlier we have 35,000 pieces of content, right? I hear plenty of times there's tons of $1 million businesses, $2 million businesses, things like that. They put out one piece of content a day, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's 365 pieces of content a year. And if you think about the size of acquisition.com in terms of our revenue, right, compared to somebody who's doing $1 or $2 million a year, and they're doing 360.
Like a super-based vector store for file search. So that way I can ask my AI agent, what number is the rule about the flag stick and what is the Chicago Bears current record? It's going to search Perplexity for the Bears record. It's going to search its vector store for the rule about the pin. You can see it says that the rule about the flag stick is rule 17. And if I go to the PDF that it's looking at, we have rule 17 about the flag stick. And then the Chicago Bears current record in the 2025 NFL season is 8-3. Go Bears. So what's important to know here is that it used those two tools to pull its knowledge, because inside the AI agent itself, we have no system prompts. All we said is that you are a helpful assistant. So then how come I'm able to come over to this AI agent and ask the exact same question about the rule about the flag stick and what is the Chicago Bears current record? And you can see this agent has no tools attached at all. And if we look inside real quick, there is not even a system prompt either. So how come this agent with no tools is able to get us the exact same answer? The rule about the flag stick is rule 17. And as of today, the Chicago Bears record is 8-3. You can also see it got that from chicagobears.com. So this is not magic. What we're doing is inside the actual OpenAI chat model, which is the brain for our AI agent, we're enabling web search and we're enabling file search. So that's what we're going to be talking about today using OpenAI's responses API. Okay, so in a recent update of NNN, I think it was 1.118 or later, what they did is they updated the chat model node for OpenAI. So when you click in your node and you go to settings, you should see version 1.3, which is the latest. Otherwise, you will not have access to the responses API. Now, unfortunately, right now, you do have to do it through the OpenAI chat model. And if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I like to use OpenRouter. But unfortunately, even if you're using OpenAI models, we don't yet have access to responses API through OpenRouter yet. But anyways, now that we're able to use the responses API natively in here, what that does is it allows our agents to have a few more capabilities. So really the big one is being able to have the built-in tools. So the OpenAI responses API provides a range of built-in tools to enrich the model's response. And the ones that we're covering today are web search and file search. So web search allows the model to actually search the web for the latest information before it creates a response. And the file search allows you to drop in a file into OpenAI. OpenAI will handle the embedding and the indexing and the storage once you drop it in there, and then you can hook that up to your AI agents. We also have the ability for code interpretation and MCP servers, but right now I'm just going to be talking about these top two in today's video. So let's just first start off with a web search example. So what you're going to do is you're going to create an AI agent and you're going to hook up an OpenAI chat model. And then when you click into the chat model, the first thing you have to do if you don't already have a credential is go to OpenAI and get an API key. This is not your typical ChatGPT environment. This is platform.openai.com, and this is what it should look like. And then you'll go here and grab an API key, put in your billing information, and once you get that key, it will be as simple as just pasting it right in here in the API key section. So once you're connected, what you have to do is just enable this little toggle that says Use Responses API. And this is what gives us access to adding in those built-in tools, which are web search, file search, and code interpreter. And by the way, I don't see the MCP thing right here. It still may be possible, but you might just have to do a little bit more kind of like coding in order to set up that request to use the MCP servers. So I'm not going to cover that today. So for the first example, I'm just going to enable web search, and we have a few options now. So the first thing is to set the context size. So right here, you can see high-level guidance for the amount of context window space to use for the search, and you can choose between low, medium, or high. And then what's pretty cool is you can actually select the city, the country, or the region to search within. And then you can also do web search allowed domains. So if you only want to search certain domains like Google or LinkedIn or Wikipedia, you could do that. And I will show an example of this in a sec. So now just to prove that this works, let me go ahead and turn off the responses API and let's chat with this agent real quick. So with no web search functionality in this agent, if I ask who won the World Series this year, it's going to come back with something like, I don't have information on the events that occurred after June 2024. So then all we'd have to do is come into the node, enable responses API, enable web search, and then now that we have that turned on, we can just run this again. And now
you guys really see in real time how my brain works.
So if we want to have an AI agent that can search through documents and search the web, we would have to give that agent access to tools. So something like Perplexity for web search and something like a super-based vector store for file search. So that way I can ask my AI agent, what number is the rule about the flag stick and what is the Chicago Bears current record? It's going to search Perplexity for the Bears record. It's going to search its vector store for the rule about the pin. You can see it says that the rule about the flag stick is rule 17. And if I go to the PDF that it's looking at, we have rule 17 about the flag stick. And then the Chicago Bears current record in the 2025 NFL season is 8-3. Go Bears. So what's important to know here is that it used those two tools to pull its knowledge because inside the AI agent itself, we have no system prompts. All we said is that you are a helpful assistant. So then how come I'm able to come over to this AI agent and ask the exact same question about the rule about the flag stick and what is the Chicago Bears current record? And you can see this agent has no tools attached at all. And if we look inside real quick, there is not even a system prompt either. So how come this agent with no tools is able to get us the exact same answer? The rule about the flag stick is rule 17. And as of today, the Chicago Bears record is 8-3. You can also see it got that from chicagobears.com. So this is not magic. What we're doing is inside the actual OpenAI chat model, which is the brain for our AI agent, we're enabling web search and we're enabling file search. So that's what we're going to be talking about today using OpenAI's responses API. Okay, so in a recent update of NNN, I think it was 1.118 or later, what they did is they updated the chat model node for OpenAI. So when you click in your node and you go to settings, you should see version 1.3, which is the latest. Otherwise, you will not have access to the responses API. Now, unfortunately, right now, you do have to do it through the OpenAI chat model. And if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I like to use OpenRouter. But unfortunately, even if you're using OpenAI models, we don't yet have access to responses API through OpenRouter yet. But anyways, now that we're able to use the responses API natively in here, what that does is it allows our agents to have a few more capabilities. So really the big one is being able to have the built-in tools. So the OpenAI responses API provides a range of built-in tools to enrich the model's response. And the ones that we're covering today are web search and file search. So web search allows the model to actually search the web for the latest information before it creates a response. And the file search allows you to drop in a file into OpenAI. OpenAI will handle the embedding and the indexing and the storage once you drop it in there, and then you can hook that up to your AI agents. We also have the ability for code interpretation and MCP servers, but right now I'm just going to be talking about these top two in today's video. So let's just first start off with a web search example. So what you're going to do is you're going to create an AI agent and you're going to hook up an OpenAI chat model. And then when you click into the chat model, the first thing you have to do if you don't already have a credential is go to OpenAI and get an API key. This is not your typical ChatGPT environment. This is platform.openai.com. And this is what it should look like. And then you'll go here and grab an API key, put in your billing information. And once you get that key, it will be as simple as just pasting it right in here in the API key section. So once you're connected, what you have to do is just enable this little toggle that says Use Responses API. And this is what gives us access to adding in those built-in tools, which are web search, file search, and code interpreter. And by the way, I don't see the MCP thing right here. It still may be possible, but you might just have to do a little bit more kind of like coding in order to set up that request to use the MCP servers. So I'm not going to cover that today. So for the first example, I'm just going to enable web search, and we have a few options now. So the first thing is to set the context size. So right here, you can see high-level guidance for the amount of context window space to use for the search, and you can choose between low, medium, or high. And then what's pretty cool is you can actually select the city, the country, or the region to search within. And then you can also do web search allowed domains. So if you only want to search certain domains like Google or LinkedIn or Wikipedia, you could do that. And I will show an example of this in a sec. So now just to prove that this works, let me go ahead and turn off the responses API and let's chat with this agent real quick. So with no web search functionality in this agent, if I ask who won the World Series this year, it's going to come back with something like, I don't have information on the events that occurred after June 2024. So then all we'd have to do is come into the node, enable responses API, enable web search. And then now that we have that turned on, we could just run this again. And now when it hits its OpenAI brain, it's actually searching the web in order to figure out who won the World Series this year. So that just came back. The LA Dodgers won the 2025 World Series, defeating the Blue Jays in a thrilling 7-game series. And it also is pulling the actual websites that it got this information from. It even included a visual recap of the final moments of Game 7 at the end. So nice. Now, real quick, let me just show off the actual domain thing. So if I come in here and I choose that I only want to search within a domain, which is upatai.com, which is my really old AI agency website that has no information about the 2025 World Series in there at all, and I go ahead and rerun this question, we're going to see that it's basically not able to find this because, okay, I forgot about this, but I'm glad it happened. You can't use that filter if you're using GPT 4.1 or probably some of those older models. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to go ahead and grab a GPT 5 mini instead, and we should be able to see some success here. So I'll grab 5 mini and we will just go ahead and run this again. And like I was saying before I got rudely interrupted, there's no information about the World Series on that website right there. So it's not going to be able to answer it. And it's going to say, hey, I'm limited to only this domain. I can't find that. There you go. I can't find the answer on the domain that I'm restricted to, which is upatai.com. All right, now for file search, which is also really, really cool. What we're doing in this node is, once again, we are using the responses API. We're going to turn off the web search, and we're using file search this time. But you certainly can use both at the same time, as you saw earlier in that demo. So you can see here what we need is a vector store ID and a filter. Now, I'll explain the filter thing in a sec because this looks pretty weird. But first, let's just talk about how do you actually get a vector store ID. So you're going to go once again to the same place where you got your API key, platform.openai.com. And on the left-hand side, you can see storage. And this will let you upload files, but it will also let you create vector stores. So you're going to go ahead and create a vector store, give it a name, and drop in some files. So here you can see, once again, I've dropped in the Rules of Golf PDF. And what this does is it gives you a vector store ID, which is right here. So you'd copy this value and you would put it right here as an array. So if there's just one, you put 2 double quotes on each side. But if you had multiple vector stores that you wanted to be able to query through, you would just put a comma and then do the exact same thing. Now, if you just try to do this without filters, it's going to error. At least it was erroring for me. So I was able to figure out, based on the documentation over here of how to use these tools for the responses API with web search and file search, that I needed to add this filter that looks like this. And I'll be honest, it wasn't super intuitive. So good thing I've got this right here for you guys. Go ahead and take a screenshot of it, and then you can paste that into your OpenAI chat model node. And then the other option that we can add in here is about max results. So we could just set a number here if we wanted to. So before we test that out again, I just wanted to call out the whole pricing thing. So if you haven't yet watched my video about Gemini file search, I will go ahead and tag that right up here. Definitely give it a watch, because it's basically the exact same thing that we're doing here with OpenAI's vector store file search, except for Gemini's was so much cheaper. Because you can see here that OpenAI is going to charge you 10 cents per gigabyte per day. So if you have a vector store sitting here with data and you're not even using it, you're still going to get billed. And Gemini only charges you for uploading files, which is why everyone was like, whoa, this is awesome. So I just wanted to call that out real quick. But as far as actually what's going on the back end when you drop in files to either Gemini or to OpenAI and the indexing and like what's going on and which one's better at retrieval, I haven't explicitly tested them out yet. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Gemini because it comes back with a lot more metadata than what OpenAI does, which I'll show you guys in a sec. But I just wanted to say, because I know I'm going to get comments about that, I haven't explicitly tested it yet, but maybe a video is coming about that. Okay, so I'm going to ask it to explain what should happen if a ball at rest moves in golf. And what it's doing, of course, is it's using its brain to think about what it needs to do. There are no tools to call, so it's going to search through the files. And you can see the answer we get is, if a ball at rest moves, what happens depends on what caused the ball to move. If X, this happens. If Y, this happens. If Z, if A, if B. As you can see, this is pulling from our document. Now, by default right now, with no system prompt, it's not actually exactly citing where it got this information from. And if we click into the actual chat model node, we can see this is the actual answer that it gave us. But what we don't see is an exact source or an exact section that it pulled it from. And that's what Gemini does give back, which is super helpful. Now, you could get this to be a little bit more specific with that sort of stuff by prompting our agent. But once again, there's nothing in here as far as the system message. Now, the last thing I wanted to hit on real quick was the other options that we actually get in addition to the built-in tools. So with the Responses API, we get these built-in tools as you guys saw, but we also have more options to choose from in here. So in the options, if we scroll all the way down, if Responses API is enabled, we have some extra things like conversation ID, prompt cache key, all the way down to prompt. And just to show you guys, if I turned off Responses API, we don't have those options anymore. I don't want this video to go too long, so I'm not going to run through an example of every single one, but here are what these additional options do. And also, if you're curious, in here, you can pretty much get information about all of them a little bit more detailed. And you could, of course, go to the OpenAI platform for the Responses API to read more about how these all work. But at a high level, the prompt lets you have saved prompts in your OpenAI dashboard that you can reference with some sort of ID to pull those into your chat model. You can have a service tier, so you can have sort of the balance between speed and cost for that use case. You can have a safety identifier to tag individuals. You can have a conversation ID, which is really cool because then you have sort of your memory being held in OpenAI rather than having like a simple memory or a Postgres memory in n8n. You can have a prompt cache key, which basically lets OpenAI cache some of those prompts and responses rather than having to run it through and burn more tokens every time. You can have metadata, so custom key value tags. And then you can have top log probs, which honestly, I don't fully understand and I'm not sure when I would use it. But once again, if you're curious, chuck this into Perplexity and figure out how that works or check out the OpenAI docs. But if you're interested in diving deeper with all this kind of stuff, then definitely check out my Plus community. The link for that is down in the description. We've got a great community of members who are building with n8n every day and building businesses with n8n every day. We also run one live call per week in the community. So I'd love to see you guys in those calls in the communities, but that's going to do it for today. If you enjoyed or you learned something new, please give it a like. It definitely helps me out a ton. And as always, I appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.
That was pretty good. That was pretty half decent. It's a very niche. Do I start with n8n or do I start with n8n or with Chat GPT builder agent builder if I want to automate my card minting onboarding process. What do you think, clone? Tell me. Let me know, clone. Let me know. I gotta like wipe my timelines or my events or whatever. Can I select all? Can I? Like apparently I've got 600 things overdue, but like what if I just don't care? Can I just mass That is not how the minting process works. Is that how the minting process should work? Should you earn a card? Oh shit. No, you probably just earn a second card. That's what I would say. Maybe you earn the minter GPT itself? Or make a third GPT that's 4 level 3 mints? That's not a bad idea. That's actually a really good idea. Having a third GPT, that's a very good idea. Third minting GPT 4 level 3s. Yeah, that's a very good idea. Not to like gas myself up. Give yourself a longer time frame before you make judgments like that. Keep at it. I believe in it. Oh my god! I really don't want to onboard all these people. Yeah, that's what I mean. La, 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 la. So this guy just didn't understand me at all. All right. So obviously, I'm not sure what file you digged into, but you do not understand my minting process at all. What happens is when someone joins the schoolyard, they have to fill out a membership request form, which they have to answer what
is a fun fact about themselves, and then I prompt them that the stranger the better. And then using that information and their profile picture and their bio and their school, community, etc., etc., I plug it into a custom built GPT, which makes them like a custom looking card, like a trading card, I like to call it. And then that has real monetary value because eventually, depending on when they join the yard, they'll get different benefits than other people that join the yard later. It's like people that join the yard in 2025 are going to get a lot more VIP access and better prices and access to cooler perks and whatnot than people that join in 2026. And then people that join in 2026 are going to get better access than people that join in 2027. So it's incentive to join early and not to doubt themselves. Okay, so that's cool. What else do I think I should be talking about? And then after the card is created, I download it. I type up a very funny and custom built welcome post that is about 3 sentences at the maximum. It says welcome. It prompts the rest of the community to welcome them in, give them big hugs, etc., etc. And then I plug in a custom prompt that gets generated by my card minting GPT, and that gets sent to Sora. And then in Sora, the video generating AI by Chat GPT, I plug in the image and the prompt, and then it comes up with an animated version of their card. And then I go to Skool, I let them in, I write the post, I put the video, I put the image, I write a hashtag and then the welcome module so that they know where to go. And I am trying my best to follow the principles of unreasonable hospitality because I want to make everyone feel welcome. So at the moment, I currently have to do this for 21 people. And in my mind, that's probably going to take me about an hour because just the GPT generating the image takes about a minute or 2 or sometimes 3. And then Sora generating the video takes another minute or sometimes 3. So I just want to automate this so that when someone joins, I can plug in the information that my clone needs. So I can grab their profile picture and I can grab their fun fact and then some information about their community if they have one, and then throw it into an agent. It spits out the image, the intro post, and the video all in one go. I don't want to have to click between all of them. I just want to throw it into a magic box, and then it spits out the card minting results all by itself. And that, my friends, people that are watching it live, is how you prompt to AI, is you are extremely lazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh my god, I'm so freaking tired. Why am I tired? It's like 6. It's because I haven't moved at all today. You gotta move. You can't sit down all day. It's bad for you. Sprinters. aches, bro.
Weird request. Can you type out your SOP so that I can show it to another GPT in a .md file?
Oh, shoot. Do you guys, is anybody here in the chat? Is just me. I'm gonna watch the AI Advantage Bootcamp and get in trouble for sharing that because that's a paid program, but I want to watch the replay. So let's do it. Let's watch the replay.
Are you just working live?
Yeah. What's up, dude?
Not much. I thought I was missing something big.
No, we're just hanging out. I mean, technically it is big because like I do a lot of stuff here that I would only show to like VIP clients, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Might as well do it for free too and show people.
Very cool. How long have you been live today?
What time is it? 6? I don't know. Whenever I made that first post, I think I started at 4 or 3.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing work I would have done anyways, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well get some free content from it.
Yeah, that's what Jules was saying, like on the last live he was on, that if nobody shows up, still talk.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Well, what I do, at least for these, is every Tuesday I'm gonna be watching the school games again. So I'm just gonna watch the school games and then talk about it. So right now, what I want to do, if you want a little bit of free money in terms of value, I'm gonna be watching this, which is the Tony Robbins paid course.
Mm-hmm.
So this cost me $1,000 just to watch this. So I'm gonna watch it now, so I can catch up. So if you want to put it on in the background, I mean, this could get me in a lot of trouble for watching this live, but I don't know. How do you, if I'm a guy on YouTube watching it for one viewer, I don't think I can get in that much trouble.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely, because the school games is the next thing I want to figure out. I want to get to the first front page and then I'm going to figure out the school games.
Oh, you want to get to the front page?
Yeah.
Well, did you hear about the offer I'm doing, the Launchpad 10?
The what?
The Launchpad 10?
I don't know.
So the Launchpad 10 is I'm opening up a cohort of 10 people, and my entire job is all 10 of those people are going to get stars next to their name.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it on the page?
It is on. It's the pin post, I think. It's the third pin post. Watch this before doors close tomorrow. So if you want a whole page of everything that's offered, that probably makes the most sense. It's a 22-minute long video. So if you watch it at 2 times speed, that's 11 minutes. And yeah, it's pretty just cash money.
Okay, I will check that out. I've just this last week I've been putting so much time into making courses. I'm not getting off my page very much.
Yeah. I feel like I was kind of the same. It's funny that you're not getting off your page very much, and you're still ranked number 5 on the leaderboard in my community. Even though there's been a lot of people that have become very active, you're still number 5. You are undefeated.
Awesome. Well, I follow you, so when you pop up, I go check out what you're doing.
Yeah, because I'm always doing some sort of bullshit. That's
But like
for sure.
it's, and I know yours is probably I know yours has to be way worse than this, but sometimes I wake up every morning to well over 100 notifications, and so I never get through them all.
You never get what?
Through all my notifications.
No, I'm purposely keeping all my notifications live so that eventually I can get to 10,000. You see my phone right here?
Mhm.
Eventually, I can get to 10,000 Skool notifications, and then I'm going to take a screenshot of it
Mhm.
and use that as proof that, hey, I know how to make an engaged Skool community.
Good, good, good idea. Well, but see, yeah, mine's all my other stuff. But yeah, we can go ahead and watch this, and because I'm getting ready to do dishes, so
Cool.
I thought you might be on here talking strategy with somebody, and I always learn when I listen in.
Yeah, well, the strategy is going to be the traffic light framework, right? So this is about an AI prompting thing. So like these guys have taught me more than any other course I've probably ever invested in.
Really?
In terms of, because I'm already certified and I'm college certified in, what is it, ethical AI prompt engineering. So I'm
Yeah.
already really good at AI, but this is like 100x how good I am.
Well, AI is the future. We all need to learn AI.
Yeah, yeah. You're not going to get replaced by AI, but you will get replaced by someone that does AI better than you.
Right.
And that's a fact, sister. All right, we can watch now.
Sure.
What's going on? Hey, Robert Moore, Shane, Lenore, what's up, Larry Parks, Robert, Amelia, what's up, Ross Murray, hey, Chris, Linda, Roger, Anita. Hey, guys. Welcome to training number 4. You guys are killing it. I'm so excited for you. I'm reading the comments obsessively in the chat, watching your growth, watching you break through boundaries, watching you lean into it, do things you've never done. It is so fun watching all the breakthroughs. Listen, I know none of this is easy if it's new for you, right? Some of you have already been playing with chat. You're just going deeper, faster, stronger. Some of you, it's new. We got all over the place, people all over the place. But here's the thing, and I say this every week. We have to learn it. We have to use it as an unfair advantage. We have to use it to gain back time, to leverage our goals, our ideas, our outcomes, our personal life. We know we got to use it. And I think you couldn't be in a better place with people that care the most. I can't wait for Igor to come on. He's going to rock your world today. He spent all week making adjustments and reading your comments and making today's training perfect. But I want to share a little something. I don't know if any of you ever take a glimpse of my social media, my Instagram account. It's where I get to share some fun stuff. But something really hit me giving a lesson to my 3- and 5-year-old. I have a little boy named Luca and I have a little girl named Vida. What's up? I see everybody where you're from. What's up, Gene and Helen and Vincent? I'd love you pull this picture up, could you? So that's my 3-year-old Vida, my 5-year-old Luca. Now we live in Phoenix, Arizona. So gardens are a little different than where I grew up in upstate New York in the country, where you just went out back with a plow and dug up the dirt, planted seeds, and it grew. It rained a lot. The desert's different, right? The summers are 110, 115 degrees. It doesn't rain a lot. But I wanted to have a garden for my kids. So we built 4 of those garden beds, put great organic dirt in it. And we got our kids to, and this, I promise this will tie into what you're doing here today. We'll be with Igor here in just a few minutes. But I'm sharing this because I wanted it to be a labor of love for my kids. So we made these garden beds and we had them plant all the vegetables. And they were digging, their hands were dirty 2 nights in a row. And then don't tell them, it's on a watering system, but they go out and water it every day with their little water buckets, right? And we always tell them, hey, if you don't water them, I see a Pia laughing, right? If you don't water them, they're gonna die. So they're out there every day. They don't know that it's on a drip sequence and it gets watered by itself every night. So the garden is growing. But I'm sharing with you this because my 3- and 5-year-old put a lot of work into it. And we were about a month in. And my son comes to me and he's like, Dad, I'm watering these every day. Where's the vegetables? You said there was gonna be lettuce and broccoli and beans and tomatoes. It's like, there's nothing. Like basically, he's like, I'm doing all this work. I don't see crap, right? And it was the perfect analogy. It's what you could hope for as a parent, if you're a parent or an aunt or an uncle, or you know some kids that you love. I said, hey, in life, most of the time we have to do the work. And the prize is at the end of the work. You gotta water it, you gotta plant it, you gotta pull the weeds, you gotta go give it some love, you gotta question it, and you gotta have the opportunity of delayed gratification. And every day, my kids go back out there like, is it time? I'm like, not time. And isn't that life? Like learning AI on a whole nother level, it's not easy. It's planting, it's digging up, it's getting dirt under your nails, it's watering and the seeds didn't even come through and then they come through and you still don't see results. But those that stay with it, those that water and weed and love and look and take care of, then eventually you get to harvest. Some of you looking at all the amazing chats, you're already harvesting. You're already saving time. You're already buying back time. You're already leveraging what you do. Some have launched a business. Some have taken work off their plate. Some have organized their personal life. You're already starting to pick some of the fruit, some of the vegetables. And just remember, in most of these cases, it is delayed gratification, but it only comes to those who stay. It's like that garden, and eventually, you water it for 3 months, 2 months, and nothing there, and you go, it's not gonna produce fruit. And you walk away and you stop taking care of it. and it dies. That dream dies. That goal dies. And we just don't want that to happen. Here's the cool part. Can you play that video? That's my son holding. We just started harvesting now in the last 3 months. Do you have that quick little video?
Vita, water the broccoli. The broccoli needs water,
Look at
Vita.
that pretty face.
Yeah, can you water the
And her
broccoli?
pretty smile. No big deal. It was a video of my kids. Harvesting and cutting the vegetables, and that's my son Luca. If you can pull this back up, he's holding the tray. There's radishes and lettuce and kale and spinach. Can you pull that slide up? Yeah. So I'm only sharing that because if you could see the joy on their face when they were actually picking stuff, because they got their hands in the dirt, they waited. And I think it's the same here. We're having incredible breakthroughs inside the community. It's unbelievable. I mean, we could pull these up. I'm not gonna go too long because I want to get Igor on today. But Antonio said his first big win, right? It's a little hard to read. Let's see. I used one workflow template from the training to streamline my small part of my business, and it ended up saving me 6 hours that I usually spend doing something manual every day. Right? This is the fruit. My AI assistant Mia has already been helping me so much day-to-day tasks, travel, etc. What would take me hours to do, Maya is doing in seconds. I think it saves me more than 15 hours a week. Tess, I love seeing that. Please keep posting these because you inspire others to the action they need to take, right? Uploading your personal style. My Instagram has exploded over the last 30 days with 750 new followers. Congratulations, 600,000 views and 32,000 interactions. I didn't realize how advanced AI was. Everybody's gonna have a breakthrough in the area that makes sense to them, right? Weekly wins, applying AI directly to my new book. It's so encouraging to feel my toolkit growing week after week, not just learning AI, but learning how to actually use it to move my book and business forward. I am in my 60s and you have helped me feel capable. I'm reclaiming my life and this course is opening new possibilities. And they go on and on and on. We could keep reading them. Amazing stuff. We'll do more. We'll read more next week. But really what I want to share is keep taking care of the garden. Keep watering it. Pull the weeds. Do the work. Take the uncomfortable action. If you're not here live, I love that we have thousands of you live. If you're watching the replay, watch the replay. Hold yourself accountable for these shifts. Hold yourself accountable to implement, not only show up, but then take the uncomfortable action to make it happen because the results can be absolutely amazing. What could we do with more time and more leverage? The answer is anything and everything. All right, you guys ready for training number 4? Say yes in the chat if you're ready. You guys are freaking awesome. So without further ado, can we please give it up for Mr. Igor Pagani.
Hey everyone. Hello. I can see all of you now. I made a little change. I can look into my camera and see you. Now we get to connect even more. From my home studio all the way to wherever you are sitting. I know this is such an international crowd. And thank you so much, Dean, for the intro, as always. And thank you for sharing the story. I couldn't help but think that this is so fitting, because when I look at your faces here and there, to me, it feels like I'm like a parent trying to feed you your vegetables. And we're over here like explaining to you that, hey, this stuff is good for you. Like, just trust me, just bear with us, give us another week or two and you'll see the results. But yeah, you're like that kid that is trying to like avoid, some of you are like the child that is trying to avoid the spoon, right? But let me tell you, the results we've seen have given me so much confidence in actually taking you further and taking you deeper, because some of you that barely started with this technology are getting these, well, I'm always careful with terms like life-changing results, but we really have seen people share stories in the community that are just incredible. And they gave me so much confidence to actually take you a bit further down this rabbit hole that is AI, and to actually recrafted today's session a little bit based on how well last week was received. A lot of people loved the more in-depth things, even though not everybody followed every step. I get that, right? You have the replay, you can go there, and people were sharing how they analyzed their voice. They took some of the best writing of their life, and then they just went ahead and they analyzed their style, and now their clone speaks like them, right? All of these results that I've seen gave me the confidence to really take you further. At this point, you guys have done so much and achieved so much in such a short amount of time that I think we're ready to take this up a notch and to not get more technical with it, but to get deeper in terms of the context we provide. I first wasn't sure if I want to do this at all, if we want to really do the business DNA, sort of a second DNA layer, but we're doing it, and I'm going to show you how to do it properly. Again, it's not more technical than anything you've seen before at all. It's just deeper context, right? And maybe for some of you, it's going to like spawn some questions in your mind where you're not going to be sure what to fill in, and that's fine. That's because I designed 2 homeworks for this session. One of them is finishing the business DNA, okay? So like be prepared, like we're basically doing a second document. And also I'm not going to spend the entire session on that, because we already spent the entire first session on how to fill out the first DNA. Then I recorded the 45-minute video really showing you how to dial it in, how to do it. And then basically today, one part of the session is going to be doing the same, but deeper and based on your business, okay? Besides that, I have some other fun things prepared for you. I have some super practical workflows. Again, as always, there's going to be something for everybody here, but I think particularly this session is going to satisfy all the people that have been with me on the social media journey ever since day one. And like, if you don't know, I started basically creating content around ChatGPT 2 days after its release, or 3 days in December 2022. And some people have been with me on that journey ever since, and they're obsessing, and they have hundreds, if not thousands of hours in these apps. I think those people will get equally as much value from this than the people who just joined us 3 weeks ago and are just getting started on this journey. Because again, as I told you, I picked some of the best of the best things, the lowest hanging fruit in the entire AI space, and I get to teach it to you here. So with that being said, I think we're ready to launch into another bootcamp session. You guys ready to do this with me? You guys ready to, there's not gonna be too much interactive stuff, but you can if you want, okay? There's gonna be parts we can copy paste, but this is going to be a good one. And I said it last week too, and I hope that delivered, right? Like we did various things, some were deep, some were surface level, but all of them were valuable. So with that being said, let me redirect to my little setup here. And you know what, actually dynamically here, I'm also my own producer here, sort of. So I'll just throw up my camera. How about that? That's a bit better, isn't it? So in this bootcamp, really, we're going to, these are previous slides. My apologies. We start out here. Really, just very briefly, I just recapped what we did, right? But at this point, these are sort of the things that I would assume you achieved at this point. Not all of them are prerequisites, but we built the clone in session 1, right? Then I taught you how to prompt through this building blocks framework, basically how to expand a short idea or a task into something that is context rich. That's what building blocks are, right? And then you hopefully tried various clones. You combined what we learned with building the clone with various tasks and prompts. And then last week we went into pattern recognition, really showing that, hey, if you tell it 1, 2, 3, AI can continue and say 4, 5, 6. And you can do that on all types of media. I mean, matter of fact, I just kind of want to end this presentation here for a brief second and show you an example of that, because I remember there was one comment in the Zoom room that I'm in last week, and it was from a person called Kevin. Kevin, are you here? If you're here, then Kevin sent a picture in chat last week. I don't know if you guys caught this, but Kevin sent a picture in chat when I showed how to turn patterns into results. And then I introduced you to the visual model. Remember last week when I told you the model called Nano Banana that can create images? Well, Kevin was so quick, I barely explained it. He already went in, put a picture of me, put a picture of himself, and apparently he prompted like something like Igor and me drinking a shot and having a good time or something like that. And then this is what he sent in chat last week. Check it out. Isn't this amazing? Shout out Kevin for coming through with this and putting to practice what we were learning right then and there. I think this is just amazing. This was like a very in the moment thing. I've had this as my background for the entire week, by the way. Maybe there's a new one this week coming up and we can switch it up, but I just think it's amazing. Some people apply it immediately, some people go back to the recordings, but everybody gets it done. So shout out Kevin, incredible stuff. And that's what we learned last week, right? Recognizing patterns. So he did just that, and we explored other models. So this was a combination of those. Now, what we're gonna do today is push your clone further. I mean, this visual does it for the bootcamp, but I'm not trying to say that there's no more context that you can ever add. I'm just trying to say that with the personal clone, you really get most of the way there, but adding some of that crispy and valuable business context, that's some of the good stuff. That's some of the good stuff that allows it to not just understand what you're about, but also what your business is about. I mean, there's a reason that when you incorporate a LLC, that it's considered a separate entity from you, right? There's a reason that we create separate pages for our businesses on social media in many cases. A lot of times it's like a separate entity. It's almost like a separate person, right? I mean, a lot of people call their business their baby, right? And that's for a reason, because it's like sort of a separate thing from them. It's them and then it's their little baby, their business, right? So also in the context, over time, I really realized it makes sense to split these out and to separate them out, because your business changes a bit more dynamically than you personally. So what we set up in the personal context, maybe accept your goals, those can change, but usually the personal clone, the personal DNA is rather static. In the business DNA, you would want to revisit maybe once every few months, maybe once a month. So today we'll be doing the business day on top of the personal DNA. And if you want to visualize it, I'll just full screen it and show you with my hands, because it's really simple. Basically, the clone that we set up so far has one file, right? It's a bunch of building blocks in one, like what your current occupation is, your future occupation, your goals, and a few more things. Now, it's sort of a second block on top of that, your business DNA, okay? Sort of like the DNA of your business. And we'll get into that in a second. But before we get into that, 8 different modules, Matthew saying, exactly. So it's like, it can be more, you can add more, but before we get into the business DNA, I really want to explore 2 topics that I touched on in the first bootcamp and expand on them here, because they're important, okay? One of them is privacy, and the second one is a revisit of Markdown for anybody who might still be confused on that even after the beginner video, okay? So, and then we get business DNA, and then I'll show you like straight up my favorite use case that I wish I could show you in week 1, but like we had to build up into it. And so we'll do privacy, which is important. So please bear with me. Then we'll do business. then we'll do business DNA, and then I'll show you my favorite use case. And then I got more, and then in the end, we'll do Q&A here. We're gonna run basically for 60 minutes the session. Now we're 17 minutes in. I'm gonna do 60 minutes of teaching, practice, and theory, and then we'll take half an hour for like Q&A and any outstanding questions. I'm happy to also do it live this time. I did a little video last time, but this time we'll do a live one too. Looking forward to that. So you can leave questions in Slido. And with that being said, let's look at some privacy and then at some practical stuff. Deal? All right, let's do this. Love it. See all the rooms nodding. That's so great. So let's look at kind of how to handle sensitive information in ChatGPT, because with the personal DNA, I mean, it is called personal DNA, but really like telling people what your name is and what your current occupation is stuff that like everybody knows that, right? Like, what are your goals? Maybe gets a bit more personal, sure. But like just stating your goals, like, I want to grow, I want to like have another child, or I want to be there more for my children. Like, all those things, they're not that sensitive, right? Like, so I made a brief point on privacy there, but like as we get into business DNA, and it depends, right? Some of you might, myself, but when it comes to like the business DNA here, there's certain things that you should just like, I'll use this traffic light system, and basically like some of them are just like a red light, like just don't do it. Like, don't put your social security number into it, right? Like, just under no circumstances, like there's no point to do that. There's no value.
One second, Sissy. I need to go set up something.
What's up, Sissy? I'm back.
Value to doing that either. That's my point here too. It's not just like a
What? Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just go ahead.
privacy and security thing. It's just like there's no value to it. Like it's not going to do anything productive with it. Okay, so basically the best practice is that even for the AI, you'll get even better results if you describe the pattern behind something rather than the concrete thing. And I want to be clear that the next few slides are really about like if you're trying to be as safe as possible. Me personally, I'm transparent about this, but I also take the stance because, you know, I make my living as a teacher of this technology, and I kind of, you know, just say, yeah, whatever, I put pretty much everything into it, but I don't think everybody should adopt that mindset. And if you want to be more careful, then these few slides are for you. So basically, you can kind of, like, a lot of people talk about this in terms of a traffic light system, right? Green is like this always goes, no problem. Orange is like, you know, maybe you could transform it. Maybe you could, instead of saying that, we'll have an example here in a second, but instead of saying that, hey, you know, I work with company XYZ, or like I work with Gustav, who's my production, you know, producer here in the studio. And then instead of saying like, I work with Gustav and maybe like I'll just make up a number and Gustav makes, you know, $5,000 every single month, I'll say I work with a producer who makes somewhere in the range between 4 and 6K, let's say, for example, just as an example, right? So you can always abstract away from something, and ChatGPT will get the point of that. Like there's not, you know, like you can give the name, but if you take the number, if you take a number, like it's the same thing saying 4 to 6K range as saying 5K. It's the same thing to it. Okay, does that make sense? So those would be orange, and then red is really like just don't. If you can avoid it, avoid it. You know, like passwords, social security numbers, things like that. Let's look at a few examples, and I put all of these into the supporting Notion. Okay, so you can always check them, but like this is the stuff where it really helps, and it just doesn't matter that much. Like, you know, things that you shared publicly, your company's mission, vision, and values, right? That's probably on your website, right? Content that you published, general challenges that you have, goals, like all of that. Your business overview of your business model, like unless you have like the next Coca-Cola formula in your drawer, then like, you know, like you're probably not reinventing the wheel, and it's completely fine to share, right? So this is the obvious stuff, like green, right? But then this is where it gets interesting, yellow light. And again, I put all of these, you'll get the slides, and also I put all of these into the Notion as kind of a table in the session materials. But basically when it comes to like, coming to numbers, or maybe some internal processes, especially if you work for a company, you know, it's best practice to not put them in, although they can be super helpful. Now, I can tell you as somebody who's entrepreneurial, often just this orange light, like, you know, if you're in a rush, you kind of just, you floor the pedal and you just drive anyway, right? So that's where this analogy works well. But like, if you really want to be conservative about this stuff, then this is a good consideration. You can always abstract away from something. So rather than sharing the exact revenue figure, you can share a range, right? And all of a sudden it's anonymized, right? So even if you have some proprietary data and you're scared of putting it in, like instead of saying, okay, like this deal for $214,000, you could be like, this deal in the range of 200 to 220K, and like, and you're good to go. And you're basically also from a legal perspective, it's sort of like you're not quoting the direct figures, and you can always abstract, right? So I just wanted to point that out. And when it comes to red light, it's really all the critical stuff that you would not want to share with anybody anyway, right? So don't put it into chat if you don't have to. So, you know, if there's like legal matters that are in progress, that is sort of the one where you can get a lot of value from sharing that and working with it, right? But if you want to be super safe, don't, you know, exact contract names and confidential data, social security numbers, banking details, maybe your banking login information and passwords, just never put in your passwords, right? Just like you wouldn't share them with others via message, don't put them into chat. Like right now, there's no cases where anything has been leaked or anything has been used or something like that, but we never know what the future holds. And it's probably good. Like, you know, on the orange light, I'll tell you, I personally, like, and this is just speaking for me, this is not advice, but for me personally, with orange light, it's just, you know, I share it anyway, and I'm okay. But with the red light stuff, like I never put a password or a banking detail or, you know, exact client details or personal information of other people into it, you know? So yeah, make of that what you will. I just wanted to outline this in a bit more detail than in the first session to address the question of like, what is okay to share? Basically, I mean, honestly, like up until now, it has been okay to share all 3 of these lights and there has been no incident, but then just, you know, to address, to be future-proof, and also to kind of, if you want to stay on the safe side, then consider this. This has been just a little theory around that. Everybody has to kind of make up their own mind, and it's definitely a spectrum. Some people share just absolutely everything, and some people only share green light things. But then just know that even if you want to be safe, even if you're legally required to be safe and not to share something with external parties, you can always abstract away from it. Again, if it's like a specific number, you just say a range, and like there you go, and it's sorted. I hope that helps. Contract review with the clone. Well, I do it all the time, and most people do it all the time. I think, you know, legally speaking, some, you know, if you sign an NDA, you should not share certain contracts. But then at the end of the day, like it's you know, not legal advice, but people just do it. Ideally you like delete the names and make the figures arrange, you know, and then all of a sudden you're more on the safer side. All right, just wanted to touch on that. So this is the golden rule. You can describe the patterns except of the passwords or the specifics, right? So if you want to be super safe and if you're dealing with something critical. And I just wanted to preface the rest that we do here with that today, because like, yeah, I'm going to ask you to fill in like a document about like details of your business, and then you can make your own call on how detailed you want to do that. All right. So can I let ChatGPT unlearn any private details forever is one of the questions that came up. Basically, as I showed you in the first session, you can uncheck that they use it for training, but then they're still obliged to store it for 30 days and then they delete it. That's what they say. But like all of that is non-verifiable. And I apologize if this like confused anybody. I just wanted to touch on it because it's an important topic. And if you're slightly confused, let me tell you, that's fine, because I am too. And everybody else is too. Like this stuff is new. We're talking frontier technology that has been developed over the past, that is literally being developed month by month. So like, this is one of the troubles. Like not everything is crystal clear. The best I got for you is a traffic light, all right? So, and that's basically the best you'll hear. So yeah, the laws are not even clear on it at this point. Exactly. Thanks, Kevin. So there you go. So with that being said, one more note on Markdown, and let's get into the business DNA and then my favorite use case for all of this stuff. I'll get you a big win in about 10 minutes from here, all right? So about Markdown. Quick recap, if you're still like, okay, what is this Markdown thing? It's just a different format. It's like a PDF, but for machines. And this is really what it is. Like the image on the left side of the screen, everybody has seen this, right? Every blog on the internet, every Word document, every PDF is formatted like this, right? If you translate that to Markdown, it's the same thing, except of the heading being nice and big and bold. There's just one hashtag in front of it. And this way the computer knows that, hey, this is a major heading, the one hashtag. You don't need to know this by heart, but I just want to explain that like all of the internet's content, you know, a lot of the blog, like if anybody's familiar with WordPress, all of WordPress runs on Markdown formatting. All of the blogs, most of the blogs that you see are most likely on WordPress. There might be a few more platforms, but if you're not familiar with WordPress, don't worry about it. Again, we're getting into the weeds here a little bit, but it's just like Markdown is just a way for computers to understand what is pretty to us in a PDF, okay? And then a lot of people, I know one of the common questions was, okay, how do I edit the file? So I showed you in ChatGPT, and that is the simplest way, right? In the ChatGPT Canvas feature, you don't need to leave ChatGPT. I showed you in week 1. I showed you in the video. Again, I'm just recapping things here. But if you want more options, I won't go deeper into this. If you guys want, I could create a separate just, Markdown tutorial video where for 10, 15 minutes I speak about that. Let me know in chat if you would like that. I can follow up with that tonight. I see Matthew with eyes like this, like, yes, please. It's like, I see a wave of yeses, so we can do that. But basically, if you're not doing it in ChatGPT, on Windows and on Mac, there's a pre-installed app that you can use. On Windows, it's Notepad, and on Mac, it's Text Edit. Okay, I see a wave of yeses. We'll do that. I'll do it tonight after the session. I'll get you a quick tutorial video on that. But basically, if you right-click a Markdown file, you can say Open With, and then in Windows, you select Notepad, and on Mac, you select Text Edit. And then you can open the file and you can edit it. You can do it in ChatGPT. I'll show you all the ways. But I don't want to spend any more time on this because our workflow is simple, right? And our DNA design workflow just stays in ChatGPT. All you need to do is the same thing that we did in week 1. There's nothing novel here, okay? This was just a little bit of theory to educate you, really. But now we get into the practical part. And now I want everybody to kind of refocus, because we're going to set up a second DNA document. This is going to be the second and last DNA document in this bootcamp. And again, as I said, a lot of people consider, themselves as a separate entity, so to say, right? Everybody has their experiences and basically what could psychologically be called their ego, as in hey, I am this, I'm that. But then there's also your business, right? You wouldn't consider, your LLC a part of yourself, maybe partially, but even legally it's a separate entity. And that's why it's good to have 2 documents. So very simple. We're just going to do the same thing we did in session 1 and the follow-up video now, but we're going to do it with different questions. So instead of asking, hey, what is your name? We're going to be asking, what is your business's name, right? And then a few more. So basically, this is the first DNA, personal DNA, is about who you are, and this is about what your business does, okay? Again, I prepared it all for you. All you will need to do is just copy-paste from the website that we prepared for you, and I'll show you the step-by-step now, but it is really simple. You just start a new chat, you copy-paste the business DNA, and we switch to the slides. It's really simple. You start a new chat, you copy paste the business DNA, and then you fill it out, okay? And we're not going to aim to fill this out in today's session because we don't have 2 hours or 3 hours, okay? And also we wouldn't want to. I want you to focus here. I want you to listen. I want you to learn. I want you to express the questions that you have in chat and in Slido so we can address them. Again, there's mods in every room. We're here to help you. I'm going to do a Q&A in the end too. Maybe we can do a little Markdown Q&A in the end. Like we'll address everything here, but I just want you to get started, okay? And maybe if you're like, okay, Igor, like I just want to follow along here, then feel free to do that too. Like it's not required to do the business DNA. So let me get into this and let me show you. What to do, because by now I'm guessing you're familiar with the bit of resizing action going on here. At this point, I would assume you're familiar with the resource page, right? With the resource site. Again, link will be in the chats in case you're looking for it. It's I mean, at this point, like we've reiterated a lot of times, I think it's aibootcampresources.com, right? If you go to aibootcampresources.com, you will land here, resource hub. Amazing, where I see links in chat. You can get it right there. And then you just scroll down, and now we're on week 4, right? Session 4, business DNA and voice workflows. This is where we're at. Business DNA and voice workflows. I'll zoom in for anybody who this would be helpful for, and I'll go from the top once more, okay? So you arrive at this site when you go to aibootcampresources.com, and then you just scroll down a little, and you go all the way to session 4. And then you click this, business DNA and voice workflows. Great. Just like every week, nothing new. And then if you're in here, again, you scroll down a little bit, and yes, you have lifetime access to the resource hub. Yes. And you scroll down a little bit, and right here at the top, business DNA. This is what I prepared for you. You just click the business DNA, and then here, same thing as in the first week, just different questions, right? So business name, mission, vision, core values, product description of your product or services. What are your business goals? Who is on your team, or who do you collaborate with? What are your tools that you use? And that's it. Okay. So it's the same thing as in week 1. And again, you can follow along now. You can get the process started. Probably good to do that. Navigate into this page. I hope everybody made it here. Travis, you're seeing an old page. My guess is you did something that I didn't even teach. My guess is you copied the entire page into your account, and once you do that, it doesn't update anymore. So I never recommended that because we're using this as a resource hub, right? So if you we update it for you every week, and then you can copy it over in the last session when it's complete with all the prompts and all the details and everything. Then I'll show you. But right now, if you go to the resource, you will see this brand new page. Hope that helps Travis and Matthew. So if you don't have your own business and want to start one, this is essentially like business planning, right? So if you don't have a business at all, then feel free to skip this, and in like 2 or 3 minutes, the next thing that we'll do, it will work equally as well for you. But for anybody who provides some service or has a business